What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Virginia's for Sports podcast for another fun episode. If you're watching right now, you found us on the YouTube channel, and please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's free, I promise you. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and even TikTok, Paul's favorite social media platform. That is at VA is for Sports on all four of those platforms. So check us out, subscribe on YouTube so we can get more fabulous guests like we have tonight. We have a Patrick Henry / Ashland legend that we just found out sledded down the same hill that Paul did when he was growing up, which is hilarious. If Paul wasn't ancient, they might have ran into each other at some point. But Erica Ayers, the current head softball coach for Jacksonville University, the Dolphins, thank you for being here. We're honored to have you as our guest.
Yeah, awesome. Great to be here. Excited.
Absolutely. And by the way, I guess I should probably say, and I want to say, because this is Carrie and Tommy Harrison are two of our favorite people on this podcast and outside of this podcast. Carrie's the one who connected us with you. Can you tell us what your connection is with Carrie?
Yeah, that was a funny story. I was down at the Little League watching my niece play and ran into Carrie because she's does so many lessons with all the young softball players there. And the next thing I know, she's introducing me to you. So this is awesome. Carrie, the first time I met Carrie, I believe I graduated college, and this guy, Bobby Wills. Do you know Bobby Wills?
I know that name. Yes.
Bobby, he's a legend in Virginia Beach area. He was a men's fast pitch pitcher. Anyway, he put together this women's fast pitch team that, we played some national tournaments post college, and Carrie was on that team that first year with us. And it just, I met her there and ended up working at a lot of her softball camps. She does that big camp in June in Richmond. So I did that when I was coaching at George Mason in Georgetown and in town. I did that for years. I missed it. I got to try to get back up there, but just a little bit more difficult being in Florida now. But yeah, I loved it. I've known her for a long time. Awesome human, good coach. Yeah.
She mentioned that first I'm going to give you kudos. Something she said, and I got to tell you, and I'm sure she doesn't mind me telling you this. She said you are undoubtedly the best defensive player / footwork / hands person she's ever seen. And that is, look, maybe you gave her a few bucks to say that. I don't know, but that's awesome praise, right? I mean, that's incredible. So,
she's very kind. I'm flattered that she thinks that. I definitely, that was my strength as a player for sure. Playing defense. It was the favorite part of the game for me, and I really liked it. I think what she said's a little stretch, but I'm honored and flattered and, appreciate it.
She also mentioned that you always ended up on the blacktop in the heat of the summer.
Oh yeah.
At her camp.
Yeah.
She was like,
just shove me on the blacktop, do your defensive drills, but it's all right. We can figure it out. It doesn't matter.
No, absolutely. She said you were a trooper when it came to that. That's awesome. So tell us about your journey. How did your journey in softball begin? I know you grew up in Ashland, but where did it begin for you?
Yeah, I mean, back then, fast pitch wasn't even a thing. I played so much slow pitch growing up, just in the Ashland Little Leagues. Just local. My parents coached me when I was little, all the way up till, through high school. I never played my first game of fast pitch till Liberty in middle school. Kind of made that transition, but I was still playing slow pitch in the summer. As I got into high school, I think there was two major travel ball teams in the state in Richmond. It was Sports Plus and the Richmond Diamonds and the Richmond Storm were like three teams. But I don't know. I lived in the country. I was kind of out of it. I didn't know a whole lot about it. This guy, my senior year of high school, this guy by the name of Milton Simmons, he was big in the travel ball scene, took over the high school team and was like, hey, I think you could play in college. There's, George Mason I got in front of them and, they said that I could walk on and, I was to me, I just wanted to play softball, and, I didn't care where it was, who it was with. Like, I can go play softball. Yeah, let's go. So I just lucky and blessed that certain people came into my life at the right time and got that opportunity, and went up there and kind of the rest is history a little bit. Like, I mean, played all 4 years there and started my coaching career there. Coached there for probably 9 years, I think it was. Started off part-time, became full-time. There was a head coach transition. I ended up moving to Georgetown, spent 6 years there with Pat Conlon. That was a great experience. And then was fortunate enough to come down to Jacksonville as an assistant. I think I'd spent a lot of time in Northern Virginia, and I was just ready for a little slower pace. And actually another Virginian, Jen Steele, she played at Longwood in her college career, got the head coaching job at Jacksonville and brought me down for a couple of years. And when she ended up moving on, I was fortunate enough to take over the program. So that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, just lucky. Like, the travel ball was not anything like it is now back then. Really didn't know anything about it. Just kind of was fortunate and got lucky and got an opportunity and went and loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I would say, Erica, anybody from Ashland would say Ashland and South is very, very different than Northern Virginia.
Sure. Yeah. I was a little country kid going up to the big city for sure.
I remember my sister playing a few years before you in Ashland, and yeah, there was no fast pitch in the Little Leagues. It was all slow pitch. Yeah. And then you go to Liberty, and I imagine you did 7th and 8th grade at Liberty.
Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Yeah.
Oh, it was 6, 7, 8 back then. Okay, it was 7 to 9 when I came through. Gotcha. Anyway, so you're playing fast pitch for the first time in 6th grade, right? What was that transition like? I know it was a minute ago, but what was that?
I mean, the way I remember, it wasn't a big deal to me. The way I remember it, I probably wasn't as good of a hitter as I thought, but I played and had a good time, so I must have done all right. It wasn't that. I don't ever remember it being a huge transition. I don't think at the time I made that transition that the pitching was so stellar. It was just a little flatter,
Yeah, one of the things Kevin and I have learned after talking to some softball coaches and players the last few months is there are ridiculously good pitchers now. I don't know that any of those kinds of talents existed maybe when you were coming up, especially at the middle school level. And then there are some just okay players. Like when you have two awesome pitchers, it is such a thing to cherish as a teammate and a coach.
Oh yeah, they control the game. For sure. If you have a stud in the circle, it can definitely take a team to another level for certain. Yeah, it's a big deal. So, but yeah, back then it just, and I think that's why I probably was such a good defender playing slow pitch all those years, because you had to pick the softball up. It was always put in play, know, and I think that's probably, I would say at the young ages, the defense is behind because, there are such great pitchers, even at 10, 11 years old, that are, chucking it in there, and it's hard to put in play for young kids that are just starting out. And it's a little bit, not as much action on defense. So I don't know that they get the repetitions to get as good anymore. I would recommend like defense and base running, like you really learn how to do those things in slow pitch for sure.
Yeah.
So you played middle infield mostly, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So based on Carrie's kudos, you have great hands, or are able to maneuver out on the field and do what you needed to do. Tell me about the transition from Patrick Henry softball to George Mason softball. Was it a huge jump? I know in a lot of sports that's a big jump in talent level and speed of the game.
Yeah, it definitely was a big jump. I think, when you go to college, there's just everybody's good. Like everybody was the best player on their high school team. And, I think just the difference is, how much, work you're willing to put in and, and kind of your mentality. I just kind of was pretty carefree and like just really, really excited for the opportunity. Like I didn't feel pressure, anything like that. So I think I was just able to go play and have a good time, and it was, it was definitely a step up, but, I think we handled it all right. Yeah.
It's softball,
It's the same game. It's the same game. It's the same game for sure. Yeah.
Well, we've got some Patrick Henry graduates that listen or watch this, Erica. Can you recount for us what the Patriots softball teams were like back in the mid-90s?
Whew. Not as good as they are now, for sure. Because like I said, coming up, we were all the kids that we played with were playing slow pitch. So I think we had pretty good defenses. We just, I don't think we hit the ball near as well as the kids do now. And we didn't have, the best pitching in the state, for sure. But it was a great time. It was fun. I think we were competitive, I think, but nowhere near the status they are now. They got it rolling now.
Do you have any teammates that you fondly remember from those days?
Oh yeah. I mean, Leslie Thomason, I think she's Knuckles now. She still teaches at Patrick Henry. I'm pretty sure her husband, I think her husband coaches baseball. Knuckles, still at Patrick Henry. Yeah, we played softball and basketball together. Ann Tuning was a name, Abby Patterson, Kristen Purdue was a name. She came in when I was a senior as a freshman. It was probably the first time we had like a really, really legit pitcher, in that era. But yeah, I got a lot of people I remember fondly from that time.
So what made you want to become a coach? I mean, at what point did you think back when you were playing in high school, hey, I'd love to be a coach one day? Or did you just, as you matriculated and by the time you were at George Mason, when did you want to become a coach?
Yeah, I think at first it was just a natural progression. I loved the game. I loved being around it. And again, the opportunity presented itself when I graduated. Beth Fulcher was the head coach, and she had just approached me about being a part-time assistant. So when I started my career, it was, I helped her with softball practice and was at all the games, of course, but I sold soccer tickets. I played music at basketball games. I set up track meets. Like it was a dual kind of job for a couple of years. And it just was a natural progression at first. And then, the more I did it and the more like it just kind of grabbed me, like helping, like when you're working with kids. And I mean, and I was a kid too, but like when you're helping out and we work at something and then all of a sudden they get it and they have success, like there's just no greater feeling, and so just doing that, I kind of fell in love with it, and it's just grown since then,
Are you going to be coaching softball the rest of your life, you think?
Probably. I don't make enough money to retire, so I'm probably going to do it till I kick the bucket, but I don't know. I mean, for a little while, I don't see for a while, for sure. I mean, probably not forever, but, yeah, for a good long while, I think.
I don't mean to imply that Jacksonville University may or may not be your dream job, but let's assume it's one of several dream jobs. What are the other dream jobs out there for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, really happy where I'm at. Jacksonville is an awesome school. It's in a great area. Administration is awesome. The people I work with are fantastic. I do, my family's in Virginia. So, and, my parents aren't getting any younger. So I do, it's not out of the question one day to get a little closer to home if I can make that happen. I don't really have a name, dream job. I love coaching. I love teaching kids. I love helping people. So wherever, there's a lot of places to do that, I just want to have an impact on people, and you can do that anywhere. So, yeah. But getting back to Virginia is not out of the question if it becomes possible.
That's the best answer I've heard to a question that I was not trying to trap you with that.
Sure. Yeah.
I know you're out there recruiting in California right now.
Yeah,
I'll be here for another 10 seconds, guys. Let me go.
Yeah.
That was great.
Y'all hear what Coach Ayers said on that podcast? She wants to go to
Correct.
Alabama. Nuts.
No.
That was a good answer, though. That was,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really excited about what we're building in Jacksonville. So I'm not in any hurry. You know, I want to get it done. I want to win a conference championship for the university that took a chance on me. So that's kind of where my head's at right now.
Well, Jacksonville's a great place, and Jacksonville actually, and Paul, you and I back in the early '80s, mid '80s, Jacksonville was in the Sun Belt Conference, I believe, with VCU. So we would see them come through. Otis Smith, I think, was one of their great players. I know Artis Gilmore is one of their notable.
Way back in the day, yeah, D Brown. Yeah.
Wow.
D Brown.
Yeah, he's an administrator right now on campus. He's one of our ADs. He's a phenomenal guy.
Are you tight with D Brown, Erica?
I mean, I don't know, define tight. I mean, we chat every time we see each other. I haven't sat down and had a beer with him or anything, but yeah, I told him I used to wear his pumps when I played basketball. So
yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let me ask you this: you talked about working hard earlier in the interview. You were talking about how you got better and got to the level that you got to. Compare the work ethic of your generation with what you see now.
Oh, honestly, I think these kids work way harder, just different. Like, well, I don't know if harder's the right word, but different. So like I grew up and I just played. I played whether it was wiffle ball in the yard, whether it was for my team, whether it was for an older team, whether it was for, adult co-ed softball or an adult women's team that needed a player. Like it didn't matter where it was, or baseball, this, that, like I was just playing all the time, but these kids nowadays, they got hitting coaches, they got strength coaches, they have pitching coaches. Like it's a lot more specialized. Like I played basketball 6th through 12th grade too, like basketball, softball. And, had I been maybe 10 and 8 inches taller, maybe I'd be a basketball coach, but because I loved it, but I'm pretty short. So it wasn't really in my future, but I loved it. So, you just got to define what work hard means. It's just different, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't have, hitting coaches. I didn't have, the internet, like all the gadgets, all the technology, like none of that. But it was just go out in the yard and figure it out. Go out like more Sandlot type, which I think is beneficial. I think you learn a lot that way. I think technology and video, while it's phenomenal, I think it can lock you up too, so there's pros and cons to it, for sure.
No, that's a great answer. I think there's a misconception that kids these days don't work hard. And look, like you said, there's so many things
incredibly hard.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just think it looks different. Is all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think they put a lot more pressure. Like I said, I was carefree. Like I just was a country kid that didn't know anything. Like, like when I was, going to play at George Mason, I remember my mom and I going up there to look at the school, and I remember like not even caring. Like they're gonna let me play softball. I don't care what it looks like, like kind of my naivete, But that's just kind of, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but that's just kind of where my head was at when I was young and dumb. But it worked out. It was a great experience. So,
were there other sports that you played when you were younger, like in Little League kind of thing, or were they just not?
Yeah, available? I mean, when I was little, I dabbled in everything. I mean, I played a little bit of soccer. I played a little bit of volleyball. I played a little bit of. I did a little karate, like all of that, just a little bit. But softball, basketball was kind of my two, like from 6th grade through high school.
Because soccer for girls is in the fall or spring.
Well, I'm talking when I was little. I'm talking like youth.
No, but could you have played in high school if you wanted to?
Oh, I think it was the same time as softball season. So
yeah,
I wasn't going to do that. I didn't play very much. I didn't play soccer very long when I was little. So
I got you
chasing that ball around. Like, yeah.
Basketball and softball have some similarities, but they're pretty different games.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're drawn to competition, but is there anything in particular about softball that you really gravitate to?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought. I don't know anything else. I mean, from the time when I was a little tyke and my parents put me it's some of my first memories. Like I've always played and I've just always loved it. Like being out on the softball field or, it's just fun for me. I don't know. I mean, as I've gotten older and coaching, I love the fast pace of it. I love the, the game within the game and the strategy and all that kind of stuff. I love being outside. I love, the people, the places that it's taken me, the people that I've been able to meet. Like, it's just, the sport's given me a lot. So, yeah.
Hey, Erica, you said the speed of the game. So most men who grew up playing baseball would say, what are you talking about? Softball's very similar to baseball. It's fast pitch in both. One's underhand, one's overhand. The bases are a little farther apart, which I guess is part of the speed thing. But what else is there that makes it so fast in softball? Because baseball is not historically a fast sport.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dimensions of it, 60 feet as opposed to 90 feet, 43 feet as opposed to 60 on the mound. The short game, the bunting and slapping is way more prevalent in softball. That puts pressures on defense and it's kind of fast paced. I think the dimensions of it just make it a lot more fast paced. And I think that's why it's so popular, to be honest. And I love baseball. I love it. I've always loved it. But I do think a lot of people are drawn to softball just because of the pace of it. It's one of the only, I can't think of another female sport that's faster than their male counterpart, if that makes sense. And I think that's what makes it exciting. Yeah.
That's a great point. So, and Paul and I have played infield, and I know how much fun it is. What's your favorite part about playing shortstop? Is it? I'm not going to. I could give you all kinds of this or that. Is what is your favorite part about playing shortstop?
I just think it's in the middle of the field, and it's you're involved in almost every play. Just picking up ground balls. Like, I don't know. Like it's weird. Like when I was a kid, I have a sister that's 5 years younger than me. And she grew up playing softball. She played at George Mason too, for a few years, but she was always a way better hitter than I was, but I was a better defender than her. And it's because when we were kids, we'd go out in the yard and I'd be like, I'll give you a quarter if you can hit it past me, that kind of thing, until she got big enough where she just hit it in the woods and it was over. But, I don't know. I can't explain it other than I just love taking ground balls. Like, I don't, it's just fun for me. I don't know.
Is there anything better than laying out for a ball though?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Making a little play on the run, making a play on the run, going back on the fly ball. Like, I don't know, all of it.
It's
all of it. Double play, turn a double play. That's pretty good too.
Do you have a memory of a specific play that you've made? And this is the time to blow your own horn, that you just went, like, after the play, you were like, wow, I can't believe I just did that.
There's a couple like that I don't know, for whatever reason you remember. Some fly balls I went a long way to get. I remember playing with Carrie and Bobby in the women's, and we were playing for a national championship. And I remember making a diving play up the middle and kind of saving a run there. So that was nice. Ended up winning that game. I think that was a key play. So, but I don't know.
Diving for a ball and making the play is maybe the best feeling in softball and baseball. Diving for a ball and missing it by like 2 feet is maybe the worst thing.
It hurts a lot more when you don't make the play.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's no pain if you make the play.
For sure.
All right. So when you're recruiting young ladies to come to Jacksonville University, what are the off the field things you're looking for in those folks?
Yeah, a couple of different things. I think, the biggest key when kids go to college is like, we want kids that like getting better at their craft. So what I mean by, if you're a pitcher, like somebody that likes being in the bullpen and working on their craft and trying to hone their skills, whether it's you're a hitter, defender, whatever it is. If one of your favorite things to do is go to the field and work on your craft and they like to practice, they're going to have tremendous success at the next level. If you're a kid that really doesn't like to practice, like there's a difference between loving playing games and like wanting to be really good at your craft. And so we really try to find the kids that, when they have spare time, want to get better at their craft. Like and it's not work for them. They just like it, and I think those kids really, really excel. I mean, we obviously look for people that, the way we treat people is really important to us, that's a huge, huge component, helping other people, treating people with respect, like all those kind of things, good human principles. And then, competitiveness. I think if you can get a kid that's really competitive, I think that helps them at the next level too. So you try to find out all those characteristics and you talk to as many people as possible. You don't always get told the truth, but that's what we try to do,
Right on. And you're recruiting all over the country, I'm guessing, because you're out in California now. California, Northern Florida, nowhere near each other.
Yeah. Well, there's the PGF national tournament is out here. So there's teams from all over the country. It's just the end of the summer national tournament. So it's, the stakes are high and you get to see kids really, really play for something meaningful and not just a showcase to play in front of us. The feel at the ballpark is very different. And you get to see, kids to rise to the occasion, because the kids aren't dumb. They know what a game means something or it doesn't, and no matter how hard they try, if the game's meaningless, it just doesn't have that same kind of feel. But there's a lot of Florida kids out here that we're tracking. So that's why we're all the way out here. We stay pretty much southeast. The softball's so good in Virginia. I've got to get back home and bring some kids down for sure. We've got a couple, but I definitely need to do more of that. But when I first took over, I wanted to really get my bearings in Florida, Georgia, before I stretched out. But that's definitely something on my mind and something we need to do.
Erica, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry, it looked like you froze up. What's going on in Virginia with high school softball? It wasn't a thing when you were playing, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously great coaches in the state, at the youth level. There's a ton of really, really good pitchers coming out. And I think that's Rick Pauley. I think that's Carrie Cobb. I think that's Rita Lynn Gilman. I think that's Bobby Wills. There's just a lot of really, really good instruction in Virginia. And I think that's where it starts, like when they're little, for sure. But yeah, you're right. It's in Hanover County too. Really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's the coaches at the youth level,
I mean, Virginia is for sports, right?
It is.
And for
that's what I hear.
In particular. Yeah.
So what's your outlook on you're recruiting right now? What's the outlook for Jacksonville softball next season? Are we looking at conference championship? That's what we're driving for every year.
Yeah, I mean, of course we want to, that's the goal, at the end of the day is to win a conference championship. We're climbing the ladder right now. I mean, there's 12 teams in the A-Sun. We finished 6th this past year. We did win, the second most conference games in school history this past year. So
nice.
That was a positive for us. Yeah, we're growing, we're up and coming, try to land a couple of the right kids and we're right there. So, but that's the goal, was to kind of get into that top 2 to 4 schools in the league and play for a conference championship. That's what we want to do.
What do you think specifically your team needs to do better to reach that goal next year?
Yeah, I mean, we're pitching it like our kind of MO. We pitch it really well. Our pitching coach Amanda Haverman is outstanding, and we gotta land a couple kids and we gotta hit the ball a little better. We gotta score some more runs. We gotta give them some more run support. And then it pains me to say we didn't pick the softball up very good this past year. So I'm on a mission to make sure that doesn't happen again for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that, because it leads me to, are you limited in how much practice time your kids get?
Yes, but we practice plenty.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah, I mean,
really not
there's,
limited.
yeah, I mean, there's, there's sections of the year where we can only have them for 8 hours, and there's sections of the year where we have them for 20 hours a week. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are rules in place for sure. But it never seems like enough though. It's that whole school thing that they have. It's gets in the way.
Gets in the way, doesn't it?
The student does come before athlete, at least.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
3.5 team GPA. We're good at that too.
Nice. What's Jacksonville University known for? Not athletically, but things outside of sports.
Yeah, I mean, we're a small private, really, really good nursing school, health science, like our sciences are really strong. Like students come to get their foot in the door in the medical field. Really good business school. We got a niche marine biology, like pretty strong because we sit right on the river and we're not too far from the Atlantic Ocean either. So that's probably our top three things that we do. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the river. I mean, you guys are situated in one of the most beautiful parts of the country, if not the world.
Yeah, we like to think so.
You play golf? Is there a ton of golf courses there?
Oh man, yeah, I haven't played in a while, but I love playing golf. And yeah, I try to when I can, for sure. But you need all day, man.
Yeah.
The winter time down there is the best time to play too. It's hot in the summer.
You need all day if you play with us. I know that. Just finding the
right. Yeah. We actually run a golf tournament as a fundraiser in October. You boys want to come down and play?
Oh,
absolutely.
Nice. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I can lose balls anywhere. I've lost balls in like 12 states right now. I mean, still
there
counting.
You go.
So.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So Erica, I'm never going to say normally do something at the end of the podcast, but we sometimes have a question that just kind of find out how you feel about certain things. So
sure.
The question I want to ask you, it's kind of a Mount Rushmore question. Actually, it is a Mount Rushmore question, so I might as well just say it. I want you to tell us who you consider to be the 4 greatest figures in the softball world. And when I say figures, it could be anything, right? Anything, players, coaches, whatever.
Hey, Erica, and we're looking for 4, but some of our guests have given us 7 or 8. So
they're definitely honorable mention.
Figures. Oh my gosh. I think. Do you guys coming down to Florida and I got to spend some time, like meet this lady. If you guys know Joan Joyce at all?
I know that name.
Joan Joyce was a legend pitcher for she was in the LPGA. She pitched. She was a longtime coach at Florida Atlantic University. And then I'm trying to think what was the team's name back in the day in New York. It's escaping me. But anyway, she's a legend. She's in like 15 Hall of Fame. She was a phenomenal bowler, phenomenal like golfer, phenomenal softball player. She like slingshotted it and threw it like 70 miles and like 80 miles an hour. It's crazy. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Like my era, like I remember watching, like I think Lisa Fernandez was a GOAT, like pitcher hitter back in the day. Dot Richardson, who's coaching at Liberty in Virginia.
Oh, is she really?
She was a legend back in the day on the Olympic teams.
Dotson Lynchburg?
Yeah, she coaches at Liberty.
Oh,
come on, man. You're in Virginia.
Lynchburg is not Ashland, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, they have an incredible stadium. She's got that team on the verge of the World Series. She was in Super Regionals a year or two ago. Like, it might have been last year. But yeah, she's done incredible. Liberty's a really great program right now. Yeah. But yeah, she's coaching that. So yeah, it was funny because they were in our league for a little bit, and it's just kind of surreal. When I'm a little kid, I'm like, ooh, that's who I want to be, and then now I'm coaching against her. Like, it was kind of cool. But yeah, she's a great lady. Oh Lord, put me on the spot. I think Carol Hutchins at Michigan did a lot for the sport. you know, and Title IX and stuff like that. You know, that's probably, you know, that legislation right there is probably the biggest thing that helped. And then, you know, I think really like more recent, what's been great for softball is just the TV coverage, you know, ever since ESPN got involved and the World Series and our tournament's been on TV, the sport's just gotten out of like boomed like tremendously. So I think that was a pretty important event for our sport to start getting on TV and getting, you know, the softball community is always known and loved softball, but now you're getting like, you know, random fans that are just falling in love with the sport because they're seeing it on TV and seeing how great it is. So I think that's probably a big thing too.
Yeah, I think you get as much coverage for postseason softball as you do for postseason baseball.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's they put them all on starting with the conference tournaments, and yeah, it's a exciting time of year. You hate to see it end, you know. I'll tell you what, it's funny because as soon as the World Series is over, we start recruiting the next day, and you show up to the ballpark, and you're like, you gotta readjust your eyes for a second. You're like, this isn't what I was just watching, but there's like an 8-year gap, so.
Yeah.
Well, so Erica, first of all, thank you for taking the time to do this. I know you're right in the middle of recruiting and you're in another state. Geez, you might as well be in another country. You're so far away. But we appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything that we need to know about you on social media that you want to promote or anything other than just go Jacksonville?
Yeah, let me send me some Virginia talent down to Jacksonville. You know, yeah. We're 2026. We're wide open. We get to start recruiting those kids September 1st. So, any softball players in Virginia that want to come to the Sunshine State, you know, give me a buzz.
Nice.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, this was awesome. You know, happy to do it. I loved it. You guys need anything, let me know.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Hold on one second.